Last thing on the way out. It's hard to even keep track of who has what anymore. A&M obviously has resources. It got a tradition. It's had a recent history of winning 3 years ago and getting nationally relevant. I think A&M made an improvement in the coaching department. And all of a sudden you look around, the playing field's leveled. Nick Saban's no longer here. You got teams like Missouri and Alabama popping, or Missouri and Ole Miss popping up as being playoff contenders. It's crazy. I don't know how to make sense of it yet, and who's a contender, I think we can say Ohio State, Georgia are going to be up there. After that, hard to say. What is your gut feeling in where Texas A&M falls in the pecking order of playoff contenders for next year?
Well, right now, look, we've learned here, not to take anything for granted.
Yeah.
Like I said, I would go down the list of A&M's roster and I say, man, that's a championship roster caliber. But so we've learned not to do that. I would, if somebody said, hey, you got to pick a record for A&M next year, I'd say 8-4.
Mm-hmm.
But I think the potential is greater, much greater than that. But we've learned. Look, you had a coach here that had won a national championship at Florida State and typically won 10 games a year, and he got here and he did some good things here, but it fizzled out. I think they're taking the whole Missouri approach these days and just say, show me. So I think there's some optimism, but I think it's, we've learned to be cautiously optimistic and don't look at it. Last year, you could look at it and think, okay, you know what? They're going to beat Miami. Well, and they probably would have if they would have done some things differently and rushed the passer and other things that you just scratch your head and say, well, what are they doing? Now they can beat Tennessee. Well, yeah, they could have if you decide on to go for it on 4th and 1 and said, hey, maybe a quarterback sneak could be a good idea instead of running some play that that didn't make sense. So you look at it and you say, all right, there's talent here. Could they be better at receiver? Yeah, they're working on that, but there's talent here. They'll probably be better on defense. And they weren't bad. They weren't great, but they weren't bad. They'll probably be better in the offensive line because I don't see how they can be worse. So there's some talent on hand. Is it going to be managed better? Is it going to be coached better? We think so, but not enough to say, okay, I don't think anybody at A&M is going to be offended if the Aggies aren't in the preseason top 25, right? Yeah. But there are going to be those who say, you know what? They could work their way up and, be ranked and maybe higher than people think if they're better coached. They got a good quarterback. They got talent at running back. Their offensive line wasn't very good, but there's a new offensive line coach, and they got guys coming back. They had a tight end that was really good as a freshman. They got hurt and didn't play last year. He's back. And like I said, with the exception of the linebacker position, I think the defense will be better. I think they'll be just as good, if not better, in the defense front. They got a kid from Purdue transfer in. He's originally from Bryan, Texas, which is like a sister city of College Station. And he led the Big Ten in sacks last year. So he decided to come home. And that was a big get. So I think there will be as good, if not better, in the defensive line. I think they're going to be much better in the secondary. I don't know how you lose a guy like Edgerrin Cooper at linebacker and get better.
Yeah.
But so there's talent there. And we think there's going to be better coaching, but I don't think you're at a point now to assume anything. You can feel good about 8-4, maybe better. But I don't think you're at a point here at A&M to assume anything. You can be optimistic, but to just say, okay, yeah, I'm going to go down the schedule and say, oh, they're going to beat this guy, they're going to beat LSU this year, they're going to beat Texas, they're going to open up and beat Notre Dame. I don't think you just circle. There's not many games in there that you circle, so that's a win.
Yeah,
Now, I think every game you can circle and say you can win this one, but I don't think any that you go and say, okay, yeah, this one we're gonna go ahead and count this as a W.
Yeah, I agree with you. I mean, Texas at the end of the year is going to be tough. But I mean, I'm looking, there's Florida's winnable, even on the road, Arkansas, Mississippi State, South Carolina. I look at the schedule, it could have been worse.
And look at the really good teams on the A&M schedule and look where they're playing. Notre
Dame at home, Texas at home, LSU at home.
Missouri's here.
Yeah.
So, if you do a better job coaching and you got players, you could be better than people think, but you're not going to, I don't think you're going to see, or you shouldn't see anybody from A&M just beating their chest and say, by gosh, we're going to win the national, we're going to win the SEC, or, we're going to playoff. And no, I think you've learned that you need to just take it week. The old coach's line, the old coach cliche, man, and it really going to apply here more than anywhere. Just take it week to week.
Olin, thank you so much for your time with us today. You guys at TexAgs are the best in the business. You're one of the best human beings in the business. That I've really enjoyed spending time with you over the years. Tell folks about your coverage, where they can find it.
If you ever want to give us a look, check us out at TexAgs.com. That's just an abbreviated version of Texas Aggies. TexAgs.com. You can follow us on, I guess they call it X now. TexAgs. You can follow TexAgs on Twitter/X. You can even, if you feel so inclined, you can follow me on Twitter/X at Olin Buchanan. All you got to do is know how to spell my name, and it's right down there. So, if you would.
Olin, appreciate it again. We'll catch up with you soon for we'll find a reason. Maybe basketball. That's getting kind of interesting.
Chris, I hope to see you in Nashville.
You will
in mid-March next month.
Yes. Bring your jacket.
And take it home this time too.
And take it home with you this time. That's right. All right. He's Olin Buchanan. I'm Chris Lee. This is Southeastern 14 presented by Bet Online.